This organizer is barely 2 feet wide. Most of it's only about a foot deep. Fits into a corner of your garage. It packs in a whole ton of your kids' stuff. Scooters, skateboards, helmets, balls, even baseball bats and shelves for other stuff. Let me tell you about it. I actually built this 15 years ago when our kids were much younger, and we got a ton of use out of it over the years. It is well loved, well beat up, but as you can see, it's actually looking a bit sparse now. My kids are grown, they're all adults. We don't need this anymore, and I was about to take it apart, but I wanted to tell you about it. So I'm going to film it as I take it apart, and then I'm going to put those clips together in reverse order so that you see how it goes together, and hopefully that will give you some interesting ideas that you can use in your own shop. And this is going to be one of those off-the-cuff type videos. So this is a modular system, so I designed it based on 2 2x4s that I would attach to the wall, and then any shelf or whatever storage that I would come up with would hang on these 2x4s. I just made them as tall as would fit under my garage door. They're like 7'5". The width is the key for me. I put them so they are 12.5 inches apart, and what that means is your typical house in North America is 16 inches on center studs. So 16 inches falls right in the middle of these. So the idea is that you should be able to attach these in your garage right into a stud. Now, you'll see this up here. I originally built that to go into a stud, but then a couple of years after I built it, I moved it. So then I had to put this little bridging piece across so that I could sink a screw into a stud. So do as I say, not as I do. So beginning at the bottom, we have storage for these scooters. They're meant to fold, but of course the kids never fold them. They can tuck in like this, and the handles are this way, or I have a slot and the handles go that way so you can pack them in closer. And I know it looks a bit weird here, but when I originally designed this, I designed this to hold 3 scooters, and probably within a year we had 4 in the house, so I had to add this on the edge. This is 29 inches, and the gap is just under 1 inch wide. But really, if you're building it, you're gonna measure the wheel of your scooter and make sure it fits. And again, yeah, I cut this notch in the front with a jigsaw so that the wheel would go either way. 1, 2, 3 2x4s that go crossways, and these are just 3 inch wide, so 1x3 boards that are nailed on top. This crossways hole is 3¼ inches long, and again, just around 1 inch wide. I notched the back of this. I wanted it to notch around the 2x4s, but that was purely for aesthetics. At the bottom, you got this space behind the scooters, and that seemed to me a good spot to tuck the skateboards. And it couldn't be easier. These are just slightly triangular shaped pieces of wood that stick out, and they're screwed to the inside of the 2x4s, and that gives you a place to slide skateboards. And skateboards can be packed pretty close together. These are just over 10 inches long, 3 inches at the one end, 1.5 inches at the other. So they stick out 9 inches in front of the 2x4s for supporting the skateboards. These racks were designed to hold soccer balls or basketballs, and I know, I'm sorry, the kid's ball is in very sad shape. Again, it's sized so it fits across your 2x4s, and then you have a gap here. I have a gap of 7 inches, which I just sort of figured works for most of the larger balls, and it also actually works quite well for bike helmets, though you probably put those on a shelf. I made the ends triangular. You don't really need to. I just thought it looked nice. And this is just random wood, 1x2 sized pieces of wood. These are shelves made out of scrap plywood, little triangles on the side, and I cut a notch in the back so that the shelf goes straight to the wall, a little lip on the front, and they're sized so they could just fit on either side of the 2x4s, and then you just position them where you want, and then you screw them in from the side. This last little attachment was a kind of an afterthought after I'd built the whole thing. It's just a 2x4 with some holes drilled in it, and the idea is that you can hang a baseball bat there, or you could like put a racket of some kind. You might need to tweak the holes a little bit. I've got it pretty high. You can put it down on a lower shelf also. Really, something like this probably works for like squash rackets or badminton rackets. But in all honesty, I don't think it really works for tennis rackets. The handles are way too short for that. But the idea is that you could still come up with something for hanging your tennis rackets on the side of the rack. So I still have the drawings from when I built this all those years ago, so if you check the video description, I'll have a link to where you can find those in case you want to check any of the dimensions for yourself. And that brings us to the end. My organizer's gone, but hopefully you got some ideas for organizing your garage. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Did that not get recorded?